Hello everyone, welcome to BotBanters. Today we are going to be discussing cozy games, gacha games, and everything else in between, I think. I'm your host, BATpixi, and joining me today is the one and only, you may know him as Yellow Shirt Guy. Today he's switching it up to the blue shirt, CLW22. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm pretty good. Have you seen my comments on all the videos? They're pretty great.
So we have gone live now on the podcast for a few weeks, and CLW's shorts have been picking or gaining traction, and he's been very enthusiastically showing up to each one of those, mentioning how great Yellow Shirt Guy is.
Yeah, he's very cool. He's so insightful.
I feel like that is something that could define a streamer if you kept wearing a yellow shirt. If you showed up every single podcast, that would become like,
There
the
is
Pikachu of the
no,
streaming world. CLW22.
there is no world where I could have enough yellow shirts to wear a yellow shirt every single stream.
I feel like it could be like the uniform. Something that we always talk about on this podcast is building a community, defining your identity. And if that is something that you want to do to define your identity, that is something that I would encourage you to do. Wear a
You
yellow
could,
shirt.
I guess. Like if I had, if I could go back and remake my channel, maybe I would be yellow shirt guy, and then I'd only wear yellow shirts, and then everyone would just be like, "Hey, who's that guy in a yellow shirt? It's me." Easy.
That actually brings up a really interesting point, which is if you could go back and restart your channel. Something that we have seen a lot lately these days is a lot of YouTubers over on Reddit, on the new YouTuber forums are saying, hey, I've been streaming, I've been making content for the last 5 years. It's not going anywhere, but I've learned so much. I want to create a new channel. What would it take for you to, CLW, to start a new channel at this point in time, having streamed now for 5 years or so?
Like for me to just abandon the channel that I have and just like start over to try and reset the algorithms and stuff, or what? Or just to like if I could go back and change things.
If you like you mentioned, if you go back, you could wear the yellow shirt. Knowing all of the things that you know now, having grown for 5 years, what is something that you would like to, if you had to give advice to someone new or even yourself, what would you do to start off?
Yeah, post content places. That's a good idea. You'd think I would learn. Like it's really not that hard to just like take clips and post to like YouTube or like TikTok, and just every single clip, even if you just gain one person who regularly watches your stuff, it's free, right? It doesn't take very long. Like all you need is to remember that something happened during your stream. Go back and clip it and then ship it to TikTok, YouTube Shorts. Plus, you want Twitch clips anyways. Like people sometimes come to your channel and they'll be like, "Oh, well, hey, there's a clip I can watch," right? Not obviously a ton, but like sometimes people will miss your stream and then you can, direct them to that.
For those of you in the future watching or listening to this podcast, wherever you might be, on our last episode, we actually had the opportunity to interview Dante Supergirl, and one of the things that she described is she started off making content, streaming action games like shooters, fighting games, and what she realized was that her audience didn't really enjoy it that much, and so she slowly moved into cozy gaming, playing games that are more, I would say, family friendly. It allowed, as she described it, it allowed her to not only have something, an activity to do, but also it allowed the audience, the community to interact with the game, but also with her, so she could focus on both the game and the community. With your own stream, CLW20, would you describe yourself as a cozy gamer? I do see. Let me just preface this. Let me preface this. Quite often, late at night after hard days of work, I'll hop onto Twitch and CLW will be playing Pokemon Arceus. He'll be playing something
that was a while ago.
He'll be shiny hunting, or back in those days.
Yeah, well, more now. I'll be playing like Honkai Star Rail or Genshin,
which is,
and I would say those are like relatively cozy games, right? Like it's not like Start. Obviously, like there are like actual like cozy games, right? Like Stardew Valley is a cozy game. Disney Dreamlight Valley, stuff like that is like largely what I would say is like cozy, right? But like the gacha games are like, you're not really doing anything that's like
So
crazy, I guess is what I would say.
that's actually one of our topics for today. Gotcha games, cozy games. What is a gotcha game? What is a cozy game? Can they both be related or are they
Well,
completely separate? Because I'm not too familiar with either categories.
yeah, so a gacha game is just like the mechanic of how you get character as you play the game, right? So in a gacha game, you'll have like an in-game currency.
Okay.
There will be a way to pull for characters. For example, in Genshin, for example, I know I just said for example twice, but whatever.
Mhm.
Regardless, you'll have a banner. The banner will have a rate, at least for the limited character banner, they'll have a character that you are only able to get on that banner for a limited amount of time. You have a 50% chance on the first 5-star you pull for it to be that character. You spend the in-game resources to buy pulls, or you spend real money to buy in-game resources to buy pulls. And then you just like keep pulling for characters. That could totally work with a cozy game, right? Like it would just be how you get characters in the game.
So for me, when I was thinking about it, right, I thought cozy game would be more of a laid back type of game, kind of game that I can just casually play on like a Sunday afternoon without having any anxiety or stress. But when I think of gotcha games, as you just described it, you're playing a little bit of this I would imagine like a gambling mechanic. I imagine there's a little bit of an anxiety or an expectation with that type of mechanic. Is that something that is really at the forefront of a gotcha game?
No.
Or is that something more on like the periphery of it?
It's more on the periphery because you only pull, you don't always pull in a gacha game, right?
Mhm.
If there's not a character you want on a banner, you might save, you might skip the characters. So it's not really like ever present. And you can absolutely play like Genshin just on a like Sunday afternoon and just like explore or whatever. Or you could play like Honkai Star Rail and just be doing like regular stuff. But at the same time, there is like end game content, which is like higher stress, I guess is what I would put it. I wouldn't say it's like stressful per se, but it's like you are more likely to find it stressful. What I will say is that a lot of gacha games do include a mechanic where you need to get like items to build your characters.
Okay.
The items will regularly have randomized stats, and it can be quite frustrating to try and find items that have good stats. So that is probably not so cozy.
One of the things that we always bring up within this podcast is the idea of how that revolves around the community and content creators. Something I have seen in the past is a lot of streamers will focus their content on, as you've just described it, pools. So they will start their stream and then they'll go 100 pools. That's just if I'm using that terminology correct, and the audience are attracted to that, watching to see if that person can get that special character, or in my regard, when I watch a game like Marvel Snap, would be will they get like a certain card background. How do you feel about content creation revolving around just pools? Do you think that's a healthy thing, or is it just content for the sake of content?
I wouldn't say that most of it is like just pulls, but on like a day where a character releases, I know that there are lots of people who will go and watch a content creator like do like 1,000 pulls or something crazy. Or a lot of the times people will have content creators log into their accounts to do pulls for them.
Oh, so hold on. They will actually give their account up just to a random
To
content
the
creator?
streamer. Well,
Just
usually it's a big content creator.
okay.
One of the ones that it sometimes happens is a streamer called Tuanto. And
Toronto, Canada.
no. Big streamers are probably more trustworthy for this because if like first of all, why is a big streamer stealing your account? Like there's no way. But also like if they did try and do that, they are the ones who are more likely to have like actual repercussions that matter.
I feel also for the big streamer, it is something that has to be consistent. So they need like people to trust them over the long period of time.
Yes,
Otherwise,
yes.
people would just like abandon them. They don't get access to accounts, and they disappear. Content creation is cutthroat. You have to deliver
It
for your
absolutely
community.
is.
And so taking a look now at the cozy side of things, if the pull on gotcha games is to, get something that might be rare, what is the appeal then for cozy games? Like, what do you think? Like I had described it earlier that cozy games might be just a nice way to relax and the audience can relax and you can chat. But in your experience, having made such content for quite some time, what is your experience with cozy games?
Say that I really played games that I would consider like just cozy games on stream, right? Like I've never never played like Animal Crossing on stream, and to me that's like one of the bigger cozy games.
Animal Crossing?
Yeah,
What would make that one of the bigger cozy games? Like, what is the elements behind it?
it's just popular. The Nintendo one. You've never played Animal Crossing?
I've never played Animal Crossing. I've never actually
So-
had a Nintendo console either. Besides, okay, I had a Wii, but it was just for Smash Brothers and like bowling, pretty much.
Right. So in Animal Crossing, what you do is you play a character who is moving to a new town. The first ones were towns, then now it's an island, but doesn't really matter. The concept is the same. You are moving to a new place, and then you take out a loan to buy a house.
Take out a loan to buy a house?
Yes. So then you need to, as you play the game, what you're doing is you're paying back this loan
Okay.
for your house, and then the monster that is Tom Nook keeps forcing you to upgrade your house. So he's like, oh, you know what, your house would be a lot nicer if it had an extra room. And so then you have to take out a loan from him again to build this extension to your house.
Oh my
and then
goodness.
you have to pay off that loan, and then it's like, oh, you know what would be great, a basement. And so then you need to build the basement, and then you pay off that loan, and then there's a second floor, and depending on the game there's a lot of other stuff as well.
So clearly it wasn't a game designed by engineers or architects. I'm not quite certain how quickly you build a house, build an attic, and then decide, hey, I need a basement.
Well, in the context of the game it's pretty instantaneous.
Okay.
But yeah, like, it's a lot of fun. You don't really do a whole lot. Like, the type of things you do are like, you can dig stuff up. There's like little marks on the ground that tell you, hey, dig here, and it might be like a fossil that you can get identified, or like there are these little like, they almost look kind of like fire hydrants, but they make like a sound. You can dig those up. You can fish, you can hunt for bugs, you can plant and grow fruit.
One of the things that you described is the idea of, you start off in a new place. You're going to build a home, and I imagine you expand from there. It's like growth. It's a game of growth.
Yeah.
Recently, I came across, I believe the Pokemon community is going to be celebrating a special event tomorrow on the 27th
Absolutely.
of February. And I took a look and I saw that, hey, there's a game coming out called Pokemon ZA. Is that correct?
Yes, Pokemon Legends ZA.
Legend ZA. And so when I saw the trailer for this
Or
game,
ZA, depending on where you're from.
ZA, Dragon Ball Z, Z. I think that takes us back about 20 years. But before we delve into a different topic for another day, one of the things that stood out to me was this new Pokemon game. Looked like it was being played in Paris, or like a town that looks like Paris.
It in fact is like the Pokemon World equivalent to Paris.
So croissants, baguettes, and everything else in between. Okay. But correct me if I'm wrong. It has something to do with building the city. Is that correct?
That's the rumors. So Pokemon Legends Arceus, so Pokemon now has like a number of different like game lines. So like there's the mainline games, which are like Pokemon, and then just like, it's not always a color, but basically like Pokemon Scarlet, Pokemon Violet, stuff like that. And then there's like the Legends series as well, which is what this is. And the Legends series is kind of a bit more mature, I guess I'd say. Like, the games are more difficult rather than just catching and battling Pokemon. You can actually do like stuff in the overworld. They play, I don't want to say that they're Souls-like games because they're not, but the games that they play most similar to are Souls-like games.
Wow, I did not see that,
if that makes
comparison
any sense.
coming in.
Because like, they don't play like Souls-like games, and you're not like building your
character.
You're not building your weapons or like what your character's doing.
The same Pal.
But in the same way that like the base gameplay of a Souls-like game is like dodging things and then throwing things back at things. That is what Pokemon Legends Arceus was. Like, the Pokemon try and attack you, you dodge the attacks, you throw things at the Pokemon.
Okay, so
it isn't a Souls-like. I will concede that, but it is most similar to a Souls-like.
One question I have to just bring up, and you may have touched upon it, but can you die in the game?
You can't actually die,
but
you can
lose,
be defeated, and then you drop some of your stuff.
Okay, and is it like you drop
game's
Pokemon?
Extra rude, because unlike in a Souls-like game where you can just go back and get your own things, for some reason Nintendo was like, you know what's a really good idea? Let's have other people go get your things.
Wait, hold on. Explain this to me. Nintendo's
When
a,
you're playing,
Nintendo allows
when
other
you're
people to
playing,
get your stuff.
they don't get to take it. You get it back. But what happens is your items spawn in other people's games.
Okay.
And so, like, on your map, when you're playing this game, there are just spots where people have died,
Okay.
and you can go pick up those items, and then you return them for a different type of currency to get different things in the game.
So if you pick it up, you take it to like the office, lost and found, and it gets delivered back to that person that lost it on their game.
I believe that's how it works. Yeah.
So if you believe that's how it works, I'm taking it no one has ever delivered your goods back.
No, people have.
Oh, they have? Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Maybe it's some sort of tie-in with Death Stranding, where some delivery guy picks up your stuff and just drops it off when you're not looking.
But anyways, but back to Pokemon ZA, which we were talking about. The rumor is that when it releases, what you'll be doing is building out the city, expanding the city into different areas.
Okay.
Where like Pokemon Legends Arceus instead was set very far in the past, and so you're still building things, but you're just not building it in the same way. You're like building like little outposts into an unsettled land, where there are just Pokemon. In ZA, the rumor at least, no guarantee that this is true. We should have a trailer by tomorrow though, so we'll know in the morning.
So for those in the future, this is speculating the night before, but
Yes.
I think you'll have the correct information in the future. So look
I
out for
hope
that.
so, because if there's no trailer tomorrow for this, I'm going to lose my mind. They announced this game almost a full year ago, if not a full year ago.
I believe it was 11 months ago.
I think actually tomorrow is 1 year exactly.
Oh gosh.
I might be wrong, because I think they announced on Pokemon Day last year, but I might be wrong. They have said they dropped the teaser and then said nothing for a year.
Oh, that is very strange. Just silence for 1 year?
Just nothing. Radio silence. People were expecting a trailer at the World Championships. People were expecting a trailer at like a Nintendo Presents, but that's okay.
So
we'll get a trailer tomorrow, hopefully.
So
anyways,
one thing I want to just bring up is we're hoping for this trailer tomorrow. It's supposedly going to be one of the biggest Pokemon games supposed to come out, if that's correct. Do you think that if it is scheduled to come out this year and Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out this year, do you think that Nintendo will push this game? You think it will compete?
I don't think it matters. It's not the same thing. But also, Pokemon is bigger than GTA. This isn't a controversial take.
That is a very controversial.
No, it's not. Pokemon is the biggest media franchise in the world.
But for a single game, you think that it could go up against a single release?
I do not think it matters, because I don't think the audiences overlap.
It's interesting. One of the things that you bring up now with overlapping, it takes me back just a moment ago where you mentioned Animal Crossing. One of the big tie-ins for marketing with Animal Crossing was the Doom marketing. So I remember,
because that was intentional marketing as much as there was a bunch of people online joking about it.
Well, what's so fascinating about it is that they both crossed over eventually into each other's games.
Yes, because it is arguably canon that the Doomslayer is married to Isabelle from Animal Crossing.
The internet.
It is arguably canon.
The internet is something else.
Yes.
But if that is something that could happen with those two games, two big games, completely opposite sides of the spectrum, do you think we could get like some sort of Nintendo 2K tie-in? Grand Theft Auto, Pokemon Go? I don't know.
Absolutely
something. Not. Instead of like people finding your gear when you lose it, they steal it from you.
No. I do not view that as being a possibility at all. But back to what I was saying about this game, the rumor is that it is set, so it's in the same region as Pokemon X and Y, the Kalos region. The rumor was that it's set after X and Y. So it will be in the future from the games we had played in the past.
All right.
And that it is largely set specifically in the single city and the surroundings. And a large part of the game is expanding the city into those surroundings.
I'm curious about that, because one of the things that I know from Pokemon is that it's about adventure. You go out into the world, different environments. You discover Pokemon from all over the place. How can they function in just within the city city boundaries. Are they like Pokemon specific to cities that I'm missing? Or
I think the idea is that they are making the city the size that it actually should be, if that makes any sense, right?
like a massive real life, like one for
Yeah,
one.
like actually Paris, where it would take you like more than a day to walk around Paris.
So I struggle to understand now if this is going to be a game where you catch Pokemon. Because I don't
Of course,
imagine there'll be a lot of Pokemon just chilling out in Paris that'll be like, hey, I'm not a tourist. I'm here to be caught.
I mean,
How would that function?
in pretty much all of the Pokemon games, there are like Pokemon in the cities. There's tall grass in some of the cities in the games. In the sewers of some of the games, there are Pokemon.
Like a Ninja Turtle.
Kind of, but
Just go on tangent for a moment. Have they ever had a discussion on like what happens if a Pokemon, like let's say Meowth, right? He can speak. He's a Pokemon. Oh, actually, better yet, Pikachu. Pikachu is one of the most famous Pokemon that I know of, owned by Ash Ketchum. You know, what happens if like Pikachu is just chilling out in the city and someone tries to catch Pikachu? What happens
you
there?
can't.
How does ownership work in the Pokemon world?
You can't. The ball will just bounce off.
And is there a reason why? Is there like, is Pikachu like permanently tattooed with like
I
owned by
don't
Ash?
know the in-universe reason. I only know that that is what happens.
Do you think that this is something Nintendo would ever explore in a future game?
Catching other people's Pokemon?
Yeah.
They have.
They have?
Yeah, that's
I know they steal them and then like
the
indoctrinate them.
Pokemon-
Like red, what's that team? Red Rocket.
Team Rocket.
Team Rocket.
It's just Team Rocket.
I know
I think
that
it's
one of
red
the things.
because their things are red.
I know that
but
one of the things
no,
is they like to catch Pokemon or steal them.
They like to try to. Not very successful. But anyways, there were a couple of, I don't know why that keeps doing this. That didn't fix it. Oh well. There were a couple of games for the GameCube. One of them was XD Gale of Darkness, and then the other one was, I think, maybe Colosseum? No.
One question I do have is Pokemon considered a gacha game at this point when you're
No,
trying to
of
get
course
like
not.
shinies, or is that something
No,
that's
no.
all within the currency of the game?
Do you know why they're called gotcha games? I'm genuinely asking. Do you know why?
No idea. I just imagine it's like, hey, I got you to spend some more money.
No. So there's a thing called a gotcha machine.
Okay.
It is so named because of the sound it makes when you put a coin into the machine. You twist the little dial, and it dispenses a little ball. And inside the ball is whatever is available from the machine.
Like a gumball machine.
No, like it'll be like little like plushes or like little keychains or whatever.
Okay.
And so there's a gotcha machine. You put the coin in, you twist it, it dispenses. You open it.
Yes.
Oh, I got something.
I remember them now. Yes.
Right. So that's a gotcha machine in real life. So a gotcha game is named that because it's functionally the same thing. It's like, oh, I put in my 1600 Primo Gems, I do 10 pulls, I get my 10 things.
That makes sense.
There you go.
There you go. That
Yes.
makes a lot
So
of sense.
Pokemon is not a gotcha game because it is not at all the same.
Okay.
But anyways, back to the catching other people's Pokemon thing. In the GameCube games, some people will have evil Pokemon, and then you're allowed to catch those Pokemon from them.
Okay. That's an interesting tidbit. The fact that you can get an evil Pokemon.
Well, they're not evil once you catch them.
Okay, they get
It's not
re-indoctrinated.
Colosseum. What was it? I know one of them is XD Gale of Darkness, but I thought there was another one.
Before we go off tangent, though, I do want to bring it back to our topic, which was the idea behind cozy games and gacha games. Now, we took a look at Doom. We took a look at the idea that there's a little bit of Souls mechanics. Would you say that the Souls games can also be described as gacha games? Sorry, not gacha games, but cozy games for
No.
a certain audience.
Yes. To a certain audience, the Souls games are probably cozy games. It's probably the type of thing where they just like put on in the background because they like listening to the streamer talk.
I've seen that a lot lately on Twitch, especially where these Souls-like games that have been around for decades are still very well received, and people will go in, they'll fight a boss, and they'll fight that boss for like hours on end, and they don't show any anger, frustration. It's
To a
like
certain
a chill stream.
to a certain group of people, the Souls games, I guess, can be considered cozy, but they are not cozy games.
They're not cozy games. I think that's something that I realized when I played Bloodborne. Bloodborne was a game that I really hated initially. It was like my soul was being ripped out of my body
Yeah.
as I played it. but I love the idea behind it. I love the idea behind it. But I just at some point I got like halfway through the game and I was like, I functionally as a human being cannot
Can't
go
play
further.
anymore. Yeah.
Cannot go further. And I'm really fascinated by those that they can play them, that do complete them, and go back and play them like without any clothing on. It's incredible. But yeah, that was two things that I wanted to bring up today. The cozy streams because of our interview last week with Dante Supergirl, who had a great interview with Sly Absol. If you haven't seen that
That's good.
stream, definitely go and check it out. It was perhaps the best one that I've seen in a while. But before we head out right now, CLW, do you mind sharing what are you up to? Where can people find you?
Still the same places. Twitch.tv/CLW22 is probably the best place if I ever go live. I'll probably be playing, who knows by the time people might watch this, but if you watch this in the near future, I'll probably be playing Genshin or Honkai. Star Rail, because those are what I've been playing recently.
So in the flip of the dice, a gacha streamer.
That or a Pokemon streamer. It depends on what's going on.
Oh, that's something to see. So if you are watching this in future, you're either going to get a cozy stream or a gacha stream from CLW22.
Well, they'll both be cozy.
Both cozy,
as long as you do not catch me in one of the periods where I am playing either TFT or, God forbid, I ever play League of Legends again. I will be playing something that can be considered cozy, and I will be a very cozy streamer. However, on the off chance that you catch me playing League or TFT, it will not be a cozy stream. I will be mad the entire time.
And for those of you watching in the future, one of our episodes are going to be where CLW breaks down League of Legends and that community for us. God. Something to look forward to. As for myself...
I don't know about that one, but...
but as for myself, yes, in the future, you might find me on my new YouTube channel, Future Folklore, where we break down the modern day myths and how they will turn into folklore in the future. So something to look forward to. But other than that, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time. Bye for now.